Welcome back to the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. I'm Inquisitor Temperance Price, keeper of the Inquisition's Black Library, and this is the third volume in a report on the Valentyne Heresy, an actual play podcast set in the Genesis adaptation of Warhammer 40,000's Dark Heresy RPG. This report features Game Master Tom McGee and players Ryan LaPlante as Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, Tyler Hewitt as Attikus Viz, Laura Hamstra as Eli Sharpe, and Della Borovic as Morgan Rawls. My report shows that the Inquisitorial band apprehended suspects attempting to flee the estate. Attikus was asked by the late Guinevere to investigate in the event of her death. Valentyne deduced that someone within the house must have been involved, and Morgan's quarry was killed by an overly enthusiastic royal guard. Will their interrogations shine any light on the larger conspiracy at play? Find out next in this episode of the Valentyne Heresy.
A note to Lady Ballonsong from the sommelier. Lady Ballonsong, I hope you'll find one of our vintages to your liking. The vintages are of course, guns. I hope one of the guns is to your liking. Enjoy the tan. I hope they shoot well. Sincerely yours, the sommelier. Eli and Attikus, well, the hijinks are afoot outside. You are trying to find yourselves a new pew-pew stick that is close enough in caliber that Morgan can kind of be on overwatch for you. Guinevere did receive a shipment of weapons in advance of the hunt, but I want to roll some dice to figure out what the quality of her wine cellar, to continue the metaphor, is.
Okay.
I think let's go with... I mean, this is you looking around for stuff, sort of digging through what she's got. I would take a tech use or a perception.
I'll do tech use. That makes sense for Eli.
Are you looking for a joint roll of some kind?
No, I think it would make sense that Eli would be the one, because I mean, you're not a gun guy, so it would make sense that Eli is looking. All right, so Eli, you kind of like make your way into the upper basement. There is, again, like you can tell as you get further down that the mansion has clearly been built on top of older buildings. So there's like fancy upstairs, and then the further down you get, the more rustic it gets. And there's a very like heavily locked space that one of the solicitor's agents opens for you. And inside it is just like a proper gun room. So everything is racked up on the walls. That said, with the kind of air of display, as though Guinevere could walk you around it and say, like, look at all the guns we're not supposed to own, but we're not taking them out. These are indoor guns only. You can also see that there are some crates that have been delivered by a shop known as the Sommelier Shop that have guns just kind of like barely unpacked that she clearly looked at and didn't approve of. So I'm going to say this is a difficulty of 3, only because you're trying to find something that matches a highly specialized sniper rifle.
Hang on, I just want to see if I have anything that helps this.
Is there any way I can assist?
Yeah, well, would it be fair to say, Morgan, that your rifle is, like, it's a special pew-pew stick, right? It's not just a random...
It was customized to be fit to her, and it's from a rogue trader out in space, so it's probably got some special business going on.
But would your ammunition be special, or just the rifle be special? Because that's important for matching purposes.
I have multiple types of ammunition for this sniper rifle, so then that would depend too.
So let's knock it down to a 2 then, because it sounds to me more like a matter of finding... Would Guinevere have ordered a rifle that would take a similar...
Right.
Because if you have a wide variety of munitions, then it would seem to me that probably one of them is correct. But if those munitions came out of like a small gun compared to a long gun, that changes things.
It's more just the rifle size probably.
Yep. Yes, difficulty 2. Attikus, if you're helping, you can add a boost.
I'm helping.
Yay! It's so weird. It's like literally all of my talents are like related to combat, including like martial weapon master, but it doesn't give me like a boost in there.
That's fine. I'd give you a boost for being proficient with weapons in general. Like
literally master of arms. Like
it does make sense to me that
decades.
You're only like, well, it's because technically like a tech use is a bit of a stretch for like trying to find a gun. Yeah. So I'm happy to apply your various gun related things.
Sweet. Okay. I will just roll then. Hey, 2 successes, 2 advantages.
Great. So amongst the rifles she didn't pick, there is obviously the Walmart equivalent of Morgan's gun, but it is a longer scoped rifle, and would certainly take the kind of munitions that she has. Likely doesn't hit with as much punch and is likely less accurate, but enough that you could, fudge it one way or another.
Yeah.
The only catch is you can tell from what Guinevere is picking that most of her stuff she was looking at sort of non-scoped or like small scope, but not kind of big lensed sniper scope type situations. Being a master at arms, I think, Eli, you'd probably see that the preference is towards things that could be fired with a bit more mobility rather than like, I'm going to take up a perch and shoot something, which would seem to track with the hunting on horseback. Hunting on horseback with a sniper rifle is not a thing. Not a thing that'd be very fun. Cool. Okay, so you found the gun. Attikus, can you roll me a perception, please?
Let's build a dice pool. You're just looking for straight perception, no difficulty, or is there?
Oh no, there's difficulty.
How difficult is it to perceive whatever it is I am?
It's gonna be a difficulty
perceiving?
4.
4. Ooh, something is sneaky somewhere.
I don't know about that.
Oh, I can't even be sure of that.
I'll give you a.
Let's roll a perception to see if you notice how sneaky it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a setback for being in the gun vault.
Okay.
It just means that your sounds are a bit harder to hear. And I think that's it.
All right. Perception roll of this nature is 2 greens. That's in my favor. 4 purples and a black. Let's roll.
4 purples is daunting, for the record.
Oh. Lo and behold, 1 success, 3 threat. Somehow.
Wow.
Really was not in my favor, but
Nice.
Just a real listen-y boy. As you're sort of helping Eli sort through all the guns, and I think it really is kind of I'm not like it's like me trying to help someone with their math homework. It's like I'm here and I am happy to move things around for you, but like
yeah,
I cannot help. So it's kind of a lot of just like taking the guns that Eli's passing over and putting them in places, which gives you some time just to kind of to think. And also it's nice to just be following orders rather than having to fake giving them for a hot second. But as you're working, you can start to hear what at first seems like just the sounds of an old house settling. But over time, you recognize as a rhythmic tapping. Probably every 10 or so seconds, there's just another sort of echoing tap from somewhere within the mansion.
Clarence, stop.
Wait.
Hold still. Listen.
Clarence, he immediately stops.
You can just hear like a rhythmic, if quiet tapping.
Is it regular?
Yeah.
Do you hear that?
Yes.
What is that?
Eli checks his timepiece or whatever he has, Auspex uses, whatever. Anyways, it's regular intervals.
I will say, can you roll me a perception at 2?
Yeah.
And boost for Attikus also listening.
Perception plus boost.
I like it. Whatever's happening, I don't.
Oh, fuck. 3 advantages, 1 failure.
Okay. Yeah, it seems perfectly rhythmic to you.
All right, we need to figure out what this is.
Where is that sound coming from?
And Eli listens around. He's turning his head just to sense a general direction. Is it being transmitted through piping? Is it...
It sounds like something a successful perception check would have told you.
Attikus steps out of the vault. Does he still hear the sound?
Yes.
Any difference, or it's
a little clearer?
It's clear.
The vault is a small room.
Okay, so I would infer that as then it's not coming from the vault; it's coming from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll say,
Come here. It's out here. Listen here.
All right. And then Eli's just going to follow, and it's just going to be a very methodical, like, searching each room, figuring where it's closer.
All right.
And he's going to, on his microbeat, he's going to just, to everyone said, don't touch anything, hold.
Meanwhile, you guys are outside chasing thieves.
Yeah, I'm like, I've just placed the subject under arrest. What are you talking about?
We hear ticking sound, sir.
Get out of the house and have the Royal Guard search it. Get out now.
Yes, sir. Or yes, sir. Vent.
Nailed it. All right. So Eli and Attikus, you hustle. I assume bringing the rifle with you, but you hustle out.
Yeah.
Out of the house. And you're just gonna have the Royal Guard search the space.
Yeah, we don't need Lord Van Houten to look for a fucking bomb, which is where Valentine's brain goes immediately. So send the guard in, get the suspects and the servants away from the house, let it get peeled apart.
All right. So the Royal Guard go to search. How would you guys have gone about that?
Telling them to search, or
Yeah, like would you just like run up to the nearest guard and been like search the house?
like a group, or if there's any kind of, because of the way I think we live our lives in the military, we would be looking for senior rank to organize a search. You know, we issue the order and then they delegate. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So you do that, and they order that. I mean, the house is cleared anyway because all the servants are outside, and they send in a team to sweep. So they go about doing that. The shooting range is away from the house. It's out in the backyard. So if you did want to go get set up, you can. But if you're also worried about an exploding house, it's fair to not be like, and now we'll go shoot.
Yeah, I feel like it's not something to ignore. Yeah, Attikus would want to be present for like any developments, no matter how small they are, about this search. If he could even be like, if the team is going in and sweeping, he'd like to be with like whoever's receiving their communications.
Okay.
It also seems just a bit weird to be like, we can't search the house. Something's too dangerous, but we're just going to go about our day. Like nothing's happening.
Society. I mean, like
I know, but I'm not used to the society.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Great. So they're going to set about doing that, and we will switch over to Valentyne and Morgan. You've captured two of the servants that were trying to sneak out, and one of them is very dead. So the third one is much dead. One of them is unconscious from Toby just electrifying the ever-loving shit out of him. How does Toby deliver this unconscious guy?
Wherever the other servants are like near to the front of the building, I think it would just be pew. Toby comes in for landing, drops this person, and then just goes flying back off and goes back into circling, because Toby's just going to constantly, especially now knowing something might be going on inside the house, Toby's going to be air circling, watching constantly.
Okay. So Valentyne, you have your two suspects and 2.5 suspects. What do you do?
First thing he'd want to check out is this corpse, because people he can talk to in a couple of minutes. This corpse, we could miss something could get taken, something could disappear. He just needs to search this body, find what he's behind.
And Morgan would be helping with that, because she would stay nearby to make sure like, they don't clear it out yet or anything like that.
All right. Can I get perception, or I would take a skullduggery if you want it. But those would probably be my two.
Yeah, Valentyne will go perception, because that's his go-to. Our Inquisitor is actually built for investigation. And he's got his auspex, so I'll add that in. What's difficulty at for this one, Tom?
I'm going to say difficulty 3, because you're trying to ascertain motive from a corpse.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I'll give you a boost for Morgan.
Okay.
I will give you
a setback for if I've been shot like 100 times.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. And then Eli, you rolled some advantage, so if you want to pass that forward, you can.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't roll Attikus's threat forward, but it didn't matter, so that's fine. Okay, yeah, I think that's the dice pool from my side.
Alrighty, let's see what happens. 3 success, 1 advantage.
Okay. In looking at this servant, they are clearly poor. They've mended. You can see, like, as you look at the rags that have been shot through, their outfit has been mended several times. It looks like they've been mending it. So very clearly not able to afford new livery. Similarly, you can see like the soles of the boots have been reattached several times and are very worn through. They look a little bit gaunt, as though they haven't been receiving as many portions as other servants may have. So that's kind of just from a glance. On terms of closer inspection, they have a set, like a small scrap of paper with coordinates on it that's kind of in between the separated boot sole. But that's about it.
Do I recognize the location of these coordinates? Can I figure it out with my data slate?
Sure, yeah. With your data slate, you can see that it's on the edge of the Voidstain property. From the looks of it, there's kind of like a small forest on the edge of the property that is like fairly, again, like it was a very wealthy family before all the, heresy and such. So there's kind of a large forested area, and it like at glance, you're like, yes, absolutely. If I was a fugitive, this would be a nice place to disappear. That, as we've established, the society is ill-equipped to, like, from Morgan's, and Morgan, this might be actually how you contribute to this. Having ridden through kind of the back of properties and things, like you've seen firsthand how wild it is back there and like how ill-equipped these people would be for that. So a good place to disappear.
Is there a time or any other information, or just the coordinates?
Just the coordinates.
Okay.
You get the sense, of course, like knowing who you are and everything else, like there would have been a time stuff described, but this is the most innocuous, least damning thing you could be carrying around.
Yep. So Valentyne will pocket that for future use, and then turn to Morgan and say, we have a collection of legitimate servants, and we have 2 criminals who appear to be just stealing from the house, which makes them unlikely targets or incredibly clever targets for the person we are searching for. However, these 2 do have, shall we say, moral failings and legitimate concerns for their own well-being, which may be something we can leverage to try to discover more. If I pull the names of all of the people that we have in line, Tom, and the 2 that we've captured, is dead person the only person whose name is not currently on my list? Is there anybody homesick that day? Like, can I figure out who this is?
Yeah, I think you can figure it out fairly easily. Like, there are people homesick, but the rest of the servants can easily just tell you, like the other thing is, like, the servants are there. They can just be like, that's that guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so what is this person's name?
This guy's name is Brandon Herrera.
So unless you have a different opinion, Rules Yvonne, I'm thinking I speak to the normal citizenry of this estate to establish how a normal day functions. Then I can speak to these 2 about their crimes and advance to discussing Brandon Herrera's recent life.
That all makes sense to me, very by the book.
Excellent. I'll allow you to just say, float and try to spot anything that I'm missing.
I will keep my eyes and ears open. And I'll be available should any more things come up.
Thank you. And Valentyne would like to circle around. We may be able to storybook some of this, Tom. I have one of my tiers of advantages or whatever that actually could apply to this. Valentyne has a talent called Reconstruct the Scene, where he can take a hard 3 purple perception check. For each success, he identifies a prominent characteristic of an NPC who is at the scene in the last 24 hours. So I can go further back, but 24 hours covers the day of the race, which is all he really cares about. Yep. So could we just roll that and say that's talking to all the normal people to just reconstruct what was happening around the house where people were?
Yep.
He just needs enough evidence that when he goes to talk to these 2 suspects, he can figure out what's true or what's false to do his base lie detector test.
Yeah, so basically just like overall just understanding what happened.
Around the house so that he knows, like, you weren't where were you supposed to? This is the thing. Normally at this time, this is happening. Where were you? So that he can kind of catch them out on day-to-day inconsistencies if there's a lie.
Sure.
Otherwise, there's just so much to guess about.
Gotcha.
And he doesn't just get to torture them like the Inquisition. Theoretically. Okay.
The day's young.
3 purple. It is a perception. Is there anything you would want to throw in there, Tom?
I think I'll give you a boost for just the fact that, like, everyone you would want to ask questions to is here, aside from the dead guy. Like, everyone else is here under armed guard. Like, that's a tremendously easy compared to what you normally have to do to get this stuff. So boost for that. And I will give you an additional boost for Guinevere, because the ones who are loyal are legitimately like, something awful happened here and we want justice for our house. I will give you, however, a setback for the chaos of the day. The fact that it wasn't just a regular day, it was like the day of a thing, and it was like right after they'd hosted a party means that there was a bit more chaos.
And they've had 24 hours. Valentyne would have wanted to interview them the moment the crash happened. He'd want to be driving to the mansion while everyone else is dealing with the fire to be like, who did what?
Yep.
And he does not have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Let's see what happens. 1 success, 1 threat.
1 success, 1 threat. Okay. So you're able to get a decent, if not great, picture of the day. Decent only because, again, there was a lot of chaos. That said, it does track with the message that Guinevere left in terms of clearly being suspicious that something was up. As you correctly identified from her message, she didn't have a clear sense of what danger she was in, just a sense that something was off. As a result, it seems that she had her sort of head of house reassign people on the day. She basically shuffled the deck on the day of, which is both good and bad. It's good in that everyone was doing something they're a little unfamiliar with, which actually makes it a bit easier for you to, like, they all remember it because, you know, like, well, normally I'm in the kitchen, but instead I was downstairs. But also, you know, just kind of adds to the general chaos. You do discover that Herrera was one of the people who wasn't reassigned. There were some people who had kind of specialty knowledge that weren't reassigned. As Morgan, this would track with where you found him. He clearly had a sense of, I think, almost like a pit crew for vehicles. So his job was like maintenance on a lot of the drop ships. Which is how he knew where to hide on one of them if he'd been able to get in. He was just slow in a way that Morgan wouldn't be. But he was one of the ones who wasn't reassigned because he was his task was too specialized, and he did work on her ship that day. So you get fairly big confirmation from that. In terms of the rest of the day, it was a lot of chaos. Guinevere was a little firmer with everyone than she normally would be. And I think the serving staff, there were rumors amongst the serving staff that she really needed this, and that kind of came through. And for a lot of them who've been there for a long time and who want to help, it was very clear that, like, she was putting on this facade of, like, I'm fine, but, like, her whole family just died, and then she inherited her house, and then she had to, like, compete for a duke's hand. There's a lot going on, and particularly with threats like the Boberstein and other folks, just, like, new money clawing their way up. The house was acutely aware of kind of the gradual decline of Versailles, and that could easily happen to Balensong. So there was an urgency to try to win the Duke's hand that was present. That said, Guinevere had reduced payment amongst the house. She herself was also living less lavishly. This wasn't like, I'm not paying you, but, like, I'm still going to bathe in caviar. But again, with the kind of future of the house balanced on a knife's edge, they all report that she was starting to be a bit more stingy to basically extend their runway. Just like, I'm going to really dial back our house expenses for things that will either win me the Duke's hand, or in the case of sending people to patch up your roof, like, things that will gain advantage, I'll spend on those. But in terms of our niceties, like, there's less hot water, there's less, like, we're not drying all the wet clothes every day after the rains, like, just those sorts of things. You do get some reports that there was unrest about that amongst some of the serving class, who obviously weren't thrilled that they were getting less portions than they were used to. But those who understood really understood. And the head of house, Velma Van Bluff, was very good about explaining these sorts of things. She's and you can speak to Velma. She's probably one of the people you do speak to. Think kind of a Melissa McCarthy circa Gilmore Girls style, like, head of house, and is just bustling. Like, she's just fucking everywhere. And certainly helping you wherever necessary, but also, like, helping the Royal Guard keep everyone in line and help sort staff out and all that. But yeah, she a lot of them report that she basically put it in pretty stark terms to everyone that, like, you're getting paid less, so we all still have jobs.
Yep, that makes sense to Valentyne. He'd pull up the rest of the crew, like the names of the rest of the people who were working on the ships. Odds are it wasn't just Brandon Herrera. No. And that's a list he would give to Morgan to just be like, go talk to these people. They worked next to this guy. This guy is obviously the shadiest here. and then he would pull the names of the 2 criminals that they have as suspects. And from Velma, he would just get the names of 2 other servants who seemed kind of shady, who were completely innocent. And he would liaise with Morgan and be like, we're going to play with these 5 names because these are going to be our prime suspects. And we're going to say that we found evidence that they were all working together. This is the easy hammer for us to play with. These are the 5 that you should ask about in case there's anything going specifically. But it will let me go into conversations with my 2 suspects without immediately being like, tell me everything about Brendan Herrera and following up with nothing else. Because with some information we've come across, and he pats his pocket where he'd seen him put away the coordinates. There are things we need to play out in addition to these conversations.
No, most definitely. That is a perfectly understandable course of action, and when we have further meetings, perhaps more things will come to light.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for your time and for allowing me to speak to you as an equal in this rare and exceptional case.
Of course, only this case, and only because I hold the Lord Van Houten in such high esteem.
As do we both. And they part ways. Okay. I am also aware that we are interrogating 10,000 people here. We can happily storybook these, Tom. Don't feel like we have to do 45 interrogations.
I just had to write down 4 names, so
Fabulous.
That's fine, so that they weren't all named Stephen.
Stephen.
Stephen 1, Stephen 2, tall Stephen. Okay.
Dead Stephen.
Dead Stephen. The most common of all Stephens. Yeah. All right. So Morgan, let's do your, and sorry, just because I was writing shit down while you were talking there, Ryan. Valentyne isn't actively talking to these folks. Morgan's going to go talk to the 4.
Valentyne's sending Morgan to the ship crew. Valentyne's dealing with suspects because Valentyne is more comfortable and experienced in a one-on-one kind of criminal interrogation.
Yes, right.
Whereas somebody going to make friends and find things out, he trusts Morgan to be more likable than him.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're going to go...
Or at least confusing and threatening in a different way.
Yeah. And I think Morgan's pitch for that of getting information would try to be, deceptive and like, oh, hi, your ship people, like, be like, I understand that you're all very good at ship work, and I wish to discuss it with you. I'm always looking for good mechanics or people who are looking for a job off-world or who enjoy working on ships, but I need to know more information about your skills and experiences. So I'm just going to play it that way, but try to like, who's hungry, who knows things, what's going on.
Yeah. So I think you're kind of introduced to the sort of head mechanic. And again, the Ballensong family is they make their money on shipwriting. So this is the guy who is the local, like the in-house guy. They have a full facility off-site, but the ship was here in the last 24 hours for final touches, and so that Guinevere could make her own adjustments to it. Plus, you want to talk sabotage, like leaving as evidenced by your adventures with Fairley earlier, like leaving your ship out somewhere is like not a great.
Yeah.
You never know who's going to come from off-world and try and buy it,
Yeah.
So, Del, I think I like this play. I think I'll need a skullduggery or a streetwise from you. Probably streetwise, honestly.
Okay.
Or deception. Unless you actually are looking for shipwrights and do want to.
No, I'm not actually a rogue trader. So that's sort of a thing. Yeah, I'll do deception then.
Deception feels right. I forgot deception was there because I'm so fixated on our general skills.
It's fine. Yeah, I'll take the deception and then I'll get a boost for concealing information.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll also give you a boost for the argument you're making.
Great.
You're talking to a bunch of people whose houses just collapsed. You have a reputation for being an off-worlder with a ship.
Yeah.
Like, this is a real, I don't know what I'm going to do. Hi, I have a bag full of jobs that you're specifically qualified for.
Yeah. And I think knowing that these people seem to actually like her, trying to also lean into that of, I'm very sorry for your loss. And the ship that I got to drive in the race was top notch. So it's like, I have a legitimate story that is bullshit, but I'm trying.
Well, and they probably honestly because they would have worked on that ship, so they would as we established, it was like an older, not as tuned up model, but there's probably still some that was one of ours, some pride.
She's just trying to play all that
all right,
stuff.
you can take another boost for gilding the lily there,
and the difficulty.
I'm gonna say difficulty of 2.
Okay,
they're not. As we've established, these are folks seem fairly loyal. So, and also, admittedly, actually, sorry, I will add a setback. They are being cagey because any one of them could get blamed for this.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
I'm going to spin a story point.
We're back, baby.
We're back.
We got
All right.
story points again.
I'm just going to see how this plays out.
Not only are we back, we're back to 3 and 2, I think, at this
Oh,
point.
shit.
You are back to
kidding.
three.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't
he's
know
been
that.
spending them for a bit.
All
Yeah.
right.
God,
I'm going to let
I
that.
have
Smaug has
track.
been divesting his gold.
I had tuned that out. I was like,
I was
we're
still
1
at
and
1 and
4
4.
again.
I was
Yeah.
I thought too.
No.
Smaug isn't that generous. I'm suspicious.
All
I'm
right.
his cousin, Stephen Smog. Of the New Hampshire Smogs.
Smaugum.
Smaug him if you got him. All right. Yeah. Couldn't resist. All right, I'm going to roll this.
Ay.
Oh, yay. 2 successes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 advantages.
Good God.
Give me the info.
Yeah, you get lots of info and you get to hand out a bunch of dice. The foreman of this crew is named Saladin Bassane.
Cool name.
And he is just straight up like a Sid type from a Final Fantasy game. So like close cropped beard, like, got a bandana with goggles situation going on, coveralls.
Oh, yeah.
Very Sid. Okay.
It's your mechanic.
Yeah, and, he's got a cigarette that he's like clearly chain smoking. And you'll note that you've seen pipes around, but it's clearly like a class thing that cigarettes kind of fall down the. I'm sure there's a 40K. Is there a 40K term for cigarettes?
Oh,
There's low sticks is weed.
it depends on the
Kind
novel.
of.
Some of them lean more towards cigarettes than that. Like, yeah, people just smoke shit.
Yeah, great.
Sticks.
Yeah, it's a skill stick. Still smarter than death sticks from Star Wars, so we're good. So smoking a cigarette. We'll say it's all black because 40K. And he's clearly having a time. Like rings under his eyes, looking real bedraggled. And he says, "Yes, so I must say." Captain Varn, we appreciate you making this offer. As you know, most of us are now out of work due to the unfortunate passing of Lady Valentyne. We assume that once the will has been executed, that there will still be shipwriting for the family, but we can't be certain. So this is I'm sure several of us would like to go. I myself will be staying. I owe it to the lady to carry on the legacy here, but it is a touching offer and one that we greatly appreciate. And there's a lot of like nodding and again, like these folks have had a bad fucking couple days. So any amount of kindness is good. And he kind of gestures you over and says, please, we have, would you like tea? We've just made some.
Of course. She's
So-
going to take tea and hold it. She will not drink it.
Yeah,
when
it's
she's
all
being
like
polite.
tin cups and like it's being built on like a little fire.
To bomb in with 40K facts, because I had to look this up to confirm
Yay.
it. Low sticks are the 40K equivalent of a cigarette. There's something called grinweed, which makes you grin and you smoke it, and it's an unknown organic substance. But low sticks are the 40K cigarettes.
Okay.
Awesome. So low sticks it is. Skull sticks is the brand of low stick.
Yeah.
So they have like a little literally like a tin kettle on top of like a grated fire near the big kind of hangar where the various ships are. And looking in, you can see like you can think of this as like a country airfield where there's just kind of like a like a 3-plane hangar. It's very low and it's got like the stuff you would need to tool it up, but it's definitely not where they build shit. It's very much a hobbyist kind of space for like a private airfield. So he kind of again like brings you over. You can tell it's mostly just to get away from
The rest of them.
the rest of them. And he says, sorry, you hadn't directly asked him what went wrong, right?
No, I think just trying to part of the role.
Yeah,
like just
the
kind of
role
overall,
is mostly just the role will give you that.
Yeah.
So as the two of you begin to talk, he kind of explains the day and says, I'm glad to hear that your ship was satisfactory. I know it is. It's one of our older models, but we do put a lot of care and concern into each and every vehicle that we make. The one that Lady Valentyne was flying was our finest work, and that it failed so spectacularly will haunt me and my fellow shipwrights till our dying days. That said, I understand that there was some commotion not too long ago. We've noticed that Shipman Herrera is not among our number, which is very concerning to us. Was he the one that was shot?
I wouldn't know that information.
It happened over there. We just couldn't see who it was. You were like right there. We saw you like talking to people and crouched over the body.
I unfortunately do not know all servants' names, but...
This is fair, lady.
And unfortunately, the gunfire obscured his facial features.
Yes, well. In any case, the fact that Brandon is not here among us is of great concern. He has been testy of late with us. We all recognize the sacrifices that need to be made to keep House Valentyne strong, particularly in this uncertain climate. With a celestial season, the last celestial season for the foreseeable future, given the lack of any other legitimate heirs to King Frederick, this was an important one, and we were all pulling together as a house. Granted, Lady Valentyne was at the head of it, but we all believed in her and what she was doing. Brandon, though, was less happy. I understand that he had some gambling debts in the city that we all chipped in from time to help him out with, and it seemed he was getting better, but one never knows the heart of a gambler. Brandon was not the brightest, as if that was indeed him getting shot trying to hijack a stowaway on a royal vessel is complete foolishness. There's very little room in those vessels. I've worked on a lot of them. But he was definitely expressing distaste for our current situation, and I fear that he may have tampered with the landing gear. I myself checked it before we sent it to the runway, but our crew went with the ship, and it's not outside the realm that Brandon may have made a last-minute adjustment for Guinevere on the runway itself. I cannot imagine what would lead him to do it. His gambling debts are one thing, but to kill the head of our house dooms us all. So unless he had some other offer, I can't imagine why he would. But also it would be very obvious he did it, so I don't know what his next step was. Any house would have to know that if the head of a house died because of a mechanical failure, someone did it. And if he was missing, we all would have told them. So I'm not sure what his play was here. But that said, this is our work. This is our handiwork, and we have to stand by it. So if there's any greater investigation required into how we built the ship, we have the schematics. We can take you through it step by step. We can recreate the ship and show you exactly what we built and exactly where I think the arrow went wrong. And you can see that they've clearly been up all night going through every single page of it. And he says, it would not be difficult to ruin the Autolander. It's something that most ships don't have by default because pilots fly them, not rich people.
This is all very understandable, and I would appreciate having all that information.
And he just like waves to someone who, again, like just grabs a servo skull and just like a little like starts flicking a switch on the side to just like snap pictures. And says, yes, we'll give this over to you momentarily.
Yes, it seems that this investigation will be very important for you, for if it is found as foul play, that speaks well of your technical capabilities. But I would be careful to tell others that you are one of the last people to look at the ship.
And he nods and says, if a punishment must be meted out as the head of this team, then it falls to me. So I will tell everyone that I was one of the last to look at it. And if that seals my fate, then so be it. But it is an awful thing to hope that someone tampered with a ship. But I do deeply hope that, for if it was our error, then I would not want to live anyway.
All right. Well, I think if you and the rest of your crew cooperate with the investigation, perhaps we can all find an answer to this strange mystery.
And he kind of salutes you, and they all do. He just gestures to them to like finish. They bring everything out. They kind of like get it codified for you, and then they hand over the skull.
Great. Thank you very much for your cooperation. And I will be in touch if I need more of your services.
He nods sadly, and any gusto he had, any spring in his step he had in explaining this to you just goes right out of him. Like, this is a shell of a man. He turns back to the tea, and just like, you can almost see him start at the beginning of the files and just start to work his way through.
And Morgan's going to leave her untouched tea back on their counter and then take the servo skull.
Yep.
And find a way to get it back to Valentyne. But
Cool.
not sure if he's probably in the middle of things right now.
I would imagine so. Let's see what that looks like. Valentyne.
Yeah, so Valentyne has two different suspects. We have guy who got grappled by Hawk, and we have person he arrested in the... What was it?
The stable.
The stable. Thank you for that word. All I was thinking was stalls.
It's the 40K version. It's like low sticks.
Yeah, he separated them both. He doesn't trust anywhere in the mansion because it's currently being searched for bombs. So he will have put them in two different carriages where he can keep them separate from general population. They can be watched over, and he can talk to them in relative private. His plan for both of them is the same kind of opening, which is just to step in. He's still in his blindfolded daredevil vibe because he's in public, but having these conversations with them, it's coming in with a file that he would fill with various information that he has, his data slate, so he can be in a relatively sincere and officious-looking capacity, sit down opposite them and say, "We've collected a variety of evidence about co-conspirators in the case of the murder of Guinevere Bonsong. We've been sent by Forrest Pollard of the Adeptus Astartes and the king of this entire planet. There are 5 people that we believe are involved." And he gives the name of Brandon Herrera, the 2 bullshit names, and then names both of the 2 people that have been arrested, making it clear that they are included in this. "The evidence is compelling. Those who can give us information, perhaps yourself against the rest of the conspiracy, may receive lenient punishment. But for those who dare not, with evidence this compelling," and he reaches up and slips off his blindfold, revealing the scars and the metallic eyes and the metallic ears, and he just looks in the eye and says, "Tremendously tragic things can occur that I wish would not. Between an Astartes and a king and my duke himself, the costs to those of you, if you do not tell us everything you know of the rest, could be so tremendous. And as you know in the Imperium, you are guilty until proven innocent."
Can I get a coercion?
Yeah.
You can take a boost for your spooky eye reveal. Take a boost for not lying. And
you get a boost from me because everyone gets one. Because I got 6 advantages.
yeah.
So you get one, and you get one.
Thank
you
you.
get one.
regular Oprah
Thank you.
boost.
Great. What's the difficulty, Tom?
Difficulty of 2.
And I am going to spend a story point on this. This is the big money right here. Alrighty. 4 successes and 2 advantage.
Well, damn. All right, and you, just so I understand correctly, you're giving the same spiel to both of them in the same way.
This is just, he's got a strategy. He's rolling this out. Also, if it comes out of these conversations, all the story will remain consistent. He's aware that everyone on Earth is going to want to have a political thing here, and the majority of the staff they can't hang on to.
Yep.
And unless this is a planet that puts people to death for stealing and he doesn't know the rules, these 2 could be in Gen Pop, like out in the world in like 2 days. So he needs to make sure the whole thing stays together.
Sure. All right. So you get terrified responses from both of them. The thief who was caught by Toby is Benedict Kovac. And the lady you pulled off the horse is Sindra Nutdram. So Kovac is his hair is frizzy. He's got a bit of a Seth Rogen vibe, but then if you took Seth Rogen's hair and like stuffed it in an outlet, so very, very like frizzed out. And it's just his eyes are rolling from the general shock of everything that went through him. He gives off a faintly singed aroma. Sindra, on the other hand, is just like badly bruised from being pulled by the ankle off a horse. So just like she's got a broken nose and it has just like, crudely stuffed a couple rags up her nose and is really in a like a criminal who knows they're caught mode. So there's a lot of just like sitting there like, doesn't care because she knows she's cooked. So both of them respond a little bit differently.
I will note Valentyne is Eugene recording
of course,
all this
sure.
shit.
So Benedict is like, oh yeah, man, look, I don't want any more trouble than what you already gave me. Whoa, man, I really don't feel so good after that. Whatever hit me, whatever do you fly?
We're not going into those details.
Oh, all right.
We're
Yeah,
going to the information.
okay. So, yeah, one of my jobs was polishing the fancy stuff, so I kind of knew where it all was. So I just thought with, Lady Bonsong dead and all, she probably didn't need it, and like she didn't have any kids or anything. So like, who's it gonna go to? Some random asshole? No, like I've served here for years. Oh boy, wow, those. I'm sorry, those electric volts really did a number on me.
So you wanted to take those items, and that's why you participated in the murder of Lady Guinevere Bonsong.
Oh, no, man, no. And he just like panics. He like pisses himself. He's like, no, I didn't kill her at all. I only started stealing shit when I found out she was dead.
Well, then which one of your co-conspirators did kill her?
I don't fucking know, man. We just found out, and we were all like, oh no, she's dead. And I went, well, who's gonna get all of her stuff? And Velma said she didn't know. So I was like, well, it sounds like old Benedict should get it then. So then I started putting stuff in a sack. Well, I didn't realize how heavy gold was.
What do you know about...
It's really heavy.
Enough. What do you know about this? Valentine's, we don't even need to X out. Valentine's going to burn the two that he seems the most interested in and use Brandon third. Because he's like, throw it out for trash, follow up with questions, menace, do same thing, then get to the one he actually cares about.
He actually doesn't know anything about Brandon. He's clearly like he doesn't know the name. He hasn't heard, and like you can tell like from all your successes that he's being genuine. He like doesn't have a sense of this at all. He's like a guy who polishes stuff like on the main floor. He doesn't know any of the mechanics. So he's just like, I don't know. Did he steal stuff?
Tremendously, tremendously tragic for you that you have no information for me.
I can tell you what the stuff I stole is. I can tell you where it goes. It goes back in a certain way.
Enough. And Valentyne will just get up and close the door on this motherfucker. He never needs to talk to this dude again. If he doesn't have information on Brandon Herrera,
just imagine you walking away, the carriage explodes.
This just becomes a list for Valentyne of people he can hand over to Forrest Pollard and be like, they're a piece of shit afterwards. Can't rule him out 100%.
Yep.
Execute. Like he'll have a whole list that he can give to Lord Van Houten of people that he'd just be like, cut your losses on these humans.
Yep.
This guy makes the list.
All right. And then Syndra is a much different tone because you literally caught her red-handed, and she just says, I don't know anything about a conspiracy. A few of the servants and I realized that a lot of the smaller goods in Gwendy's house were worth a lot, so we figured we'd grab those and go. But it looks like they lost their fucking balls at the last minute, so it was just me, and instead of all of us making a break for it, it was just me, and you were able to catch me, obviously. So
yes, that is unfortunate for you.
Yeah.
I will accept the name of your co-conspirators.
And she gives you like 3 names of people who didn't do anything.
They conspired, Tom. That's enough for the Inquisition. So they now go on the list of people who could be handed over for execution or jailing. But his focus is her.
God. Hell yeah.
Due to the circumstances around Lady Guinevere's death, there are going to be people who are going to be blamed. Right now, we have you in custody, and we have
Benedict Kovac,
and we have List's other name, and we have List's other name, and we have Brandon Herrera. It is easy enough for Forrest Pollard to march you all out into a square and put a bolt through your head in public, and you will likely be the first person on that list, unless I can find something more compelling about someone else.
What do you want to know?
What do you know about these others?
Benedict Kovac is a fucking waste of gray matter. He is the worst servant here, just always wrecking shit for the rest of us. I don't know why the fuck Gwendy kept him on.
Valentine's like, oh, we're getting the truth. This is valid for him.
Yeah. A couple of other names. She's just like, I don't know. He's kind of an asshole. I don't know that other person's name at all, but you'd ask fucking Her Majesty Velma, and she'll fucking tell you everything, I guess. Brandon Herrera, that guy, he was one of the ship guys, right? He worked, I think he worked in the hangars.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I got drunk with that guy in town a couple times, and look, after what happened with the Void Stains, like, you don't want to be talking revolution, you know? You don't want to be talking about, like, you know, rising up. And he was always bitching about, like, not having enough portions and how we should all share in the wealth of the society. And, like, I mean, fucking, you know, you're not, you serve some guy. Like, we all serve some guy, and then all those guys serve the big guy, right? So I don't know. I think it's foolishness. But he kept saying if he just had a little bit more coin, you know, if he had some more portions, if he could actually start building well, he fancied that, like, maybe one day he could become a lord or, like, you know, lead the people to some nonsense. And, like, it was all a bunch of bullshit. This was the same guy who, like, later that night lost what portions he did have on an incredibly bad game of 40K dice. So, like, you gonna follow that guy? No.
Who was he playing with?
Is playing with some musicians who are in town. The off tones, they call themselves. They're, I don't know. They're not big enough to get booked by any of the fancy folks. So sometimes they play some of the dingier joints. And yeah, he was hanging. He was getting real chummy with them. And honestly, from where I was sitting, they were pretty much just making fun of him. He seemed like a bit of a fool.
Do you know if he owed any gambling debts to anyone?
Oh yeah. He was deep in the hole. You know, I honestly saw him. He would take any bet. He would take any action, and I saw him belly up to a couple of high stakes tables. Sometimes the high folk like to slum it with us, and you can always tell because they come in wearing what they think we wear. Right. So it's always like, oh, I'm in a cloak and it's got a couple tears in it, but it's fabric that's worth more than any of our houses. So it was at one of those tables with some guy, it was just some smug asshole wearing one of these cloaks. And I watched him just get taken for all he was worth, just get fully hustled by this guy. So I know he owed him a bunch of money. I think he owed the off tones a bunch of money by the end of it.
Do you know which wealthy asshole that was or which house they belonged to?
No, it was just some fucking guy in a cloak who had money.
Interesting.
Throw a rock in any direction, you'll hit some smug asshole who likes to play games.
So he was an attempted revolutionary, despite the warnings that the Voidstain's fate had shown him. He was a chronic gambler who owed tremendous debts to people in high places as well as low. And he despised the wealthy with delusions of grandeur. So what you're saying, he was perfectly positioned and had numerous motives to participate in the assassination of Guinevere Bolensong.
Well, I mean, like, I guess, but I don't know where the fuck this planet is too small to be safe anywhere here. So I don't know what he was thinking is. I mean, I told you he's not a smart guy. I bet someone told him they'd give him shelter and they were gonna fucking kill him or something. Because you would look so guilty if you hired that guy. Like if he's one of the guys who worked on the ship and then he just like fucks off into the night. Like me, I just stole some shit. I was planning on just presenting myself to a new house as someone later, and like I would have been fine. Thieving is like whatever, but like, yeah, you fucking murder ahead of the house, the fucking Space Marine guy is gonna find you and he's gonna eat you or whatever Space Marines do.
Correct. Thank you for your assistance. It's been most useful, and hopefully it will stay your execution. And Valentyne will fucking bail out of there. The thing he needs to know, this is long odds, because now he's established Brandon's fucking dumb. Where was that dropship going? Because that dropship and its place of arrival and its timeline is the only clue he has about this coordinate. And then he's probably got to call Forrest Pollard, but he also needs to talk to Morgan and be like, this meeting with Sacator has become increasingly important.
Yes, it seems like he is perhaps behind many things.
Yes, the evidence is growing and questionable. Get him to admit something.
I will do that. I have more information for your investigation. She hands him over a servo skull. The lead mechanic, Bassane, was very helpful and also very upset about the entire situation. So it seems that he had nothing good to say about the one part of the crew that ran away.
Interesting. And Valentyne will relay everything that he's heard. But my greatest concern, looking around, making sure they're in an area of just like a field. He'll take her into their fucking
we're in
the one they brought, their carriage, because it's the safest place you can see in the whole thing. If this Brandon Herrera was a revolutionary and stupid, plus knowing that the previous revolution was run by the Voidstains, and the current Voidstain is aware that you were a heretic, and called it out in a space where it might be public, where it could have been seen by others, but now does not call it out otherwise, there could still be a threat coming from the Voidstain. Sacatur had an interest in Guinevere and was trying to make contact, or at least follow her on an ongoing basis, and that was where the fallback point is. My only concern is with this high-stakes debt. It could be somebody else framing Sacatur for what is going on. The double bluff, as it were. My thoughts on this is, see what you can get out of Sacatur. If we get something convincing, we get something convincing. If we don't, it might be time to reach out to Forrest Pollard and pull myself a uniform from this household. I can go meet at certain coordinates in the woods, and if things go wrong, I have a heavily armed space marine ready to eliminate any threats coming at me.
That is a well thought out plan, yes. I will do what I can with the Voidstain.
Excellent. I'd really rather not put myself in the crosshairs on a case that I don't care about, but we do need to get access to our ultimate target.
And there is the remaining issue of the royal guard looking through this house for who knows what the others found.
Yes. Don't go into the house.
I won't.
All right, and then just split up. Valentyne will keep looking into this side of things, and Morgan can go get in position.
Yeah, I gotta wait. Probably waiting in the back gardens or somewhere, but also
there's a maze.
Yeah, I also just keep looking with Toby.
Yeah.
I could easily position myself in the maze somewhere, and since Toby's overhead, I'd be able to see where I'm at.
And on the Attikus and Eli side of things, as you sort of patiently wait, the Royal Guard comes back out with like clearly bomb detection gear and other things. And the sergeant says, we searched some of the main areas. Obviously, it's a big manor, so we could get everywhere. But the good news is we're not picking up any signs of munitions or bombs. There was a room full of guns, which is concerning. So we're going to be like impounding those like right away. But other than that, and obviously that's not your fault. You didn't order a bunch of guns today, right?
Right.
Okay, good. Yes. Thank you, my lord. So we'll be impounding the guns, but there doesn't seem to be a bomb anywhere on the premises. But thank you for alerting us to the mysterious ticking. We heard it, but we couldn't find it. At that point, Velma comes up and just running two hands like all the way from the bottom of her face up into her hair in a just deep exasperation. And she kind of shoos them away and says, listen here, folks. I'm really sorry that you evacuated and everything for just that. But I got to tell you that ain't no bomb. That's just the ghost. It's the ghost of Bounsong Manor.
Excuse me, ghost.
That's right.
This episode of the Valentyne Heresy features the voices of players Ryan LaPlante, Tyler Hewitt, Laura Hamstra, and Del Borovic, alongside Game Master Tom McGee. This episode was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and the Valentyne Heresy's artwork was created by Del Borovic at delborovic.com. That's DELBOROVIC. Our theme song is The Hordes by Megan McDuffie, and our ad breaks use the tracks No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR. All of their music is available at freemusicarchive.org. For all things Dum Dums and Dice, including merchandise and how to join our Patreon, you can visit dumdumdice.com or find us on social media at dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. Ave Imperator, and death to all the heretics.
Dum Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Flynn 1138, Alarain Okapi, Schrodinger's Pepper, Guy Edwards, Madre de Gatos, Lady Maiden, Nithrian, Garbo Ape, Locke, Sam Schaefer, Waffle Marine,
Dagger Rain, Rob L, Dia De Los Hoodless,
Diovasis, Loki Burrito, Squishy Werewolf, Remy, Funky Head, Nomad, the Wise Paladin of the Badlands, Accent Therapeutic Services in Florence, Kentucky, Lael, Shulzari, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.